If life feels heavy right now, do not rush to carry even more. Do not add more pressure. Do not add more noise. Do not try to force yourself into peace. Sometimes the real first step is much simpler. Put something down. Put down the fear. Put down the tight grip. Put down the need to control every outcome. Because when the grip loosens, the mind softens. And when the mind softens, life starts to breathe again. In this video, we will walk through 15 Buddhist shifts that help you detach, quiet the mind, and rebuild yourself from the inside out. This is not about becoming perfect. It is not about becoming numb. It is about becoming clear enough to see what is draining you, wise enough to stop feeding it, and calm enough to rebuild your life one quiet choice at a time. So if you have been tired in a way sleep cannot fix, restless in a way success cannot fix, or lonely in a way company cannot fix, stay with this until the end. Because somewhere in these shifts, there is a different way to live. Release the need to control everything. A lot of suffering starts with a simple belief. If I can control enough, I can stay safe. So you check the phone again. You replay the conversation before it happens. You try to predict every delay, every reaction, every mistake. You start acting like peace depends on getting life to behave. But life does not behave. People change. Plans fall apart. Timing shifts. The day bends in directions you never asked for. And if your peace depends on everything staying still, your peace will break every morning. Buddhism teaches a cleaner way to look at it. There is a difference between what is yours and what is not. Your effort is yours. Your intention is yours. Your response is yours. The outcome is not. The moment you accept that, your body relaxes a little. Your breathing changes. Your mind stops fighting the entire universe. Instead of asking, how do I make everything go my way? Ask, how do I meet this moment well, even if it does not go my way? That question is calmer. It is also stronger. Today, notice one thing you keep trying to control that is not actually under your control. A person's mood, a future event, a delayed answer, an uncertain result. Then open your hands around it. Not because you stopped caring, not because you gave up, but because you are done confusing control with safety. Stop worshiping constant motion. Modern life loves motion. If you are busy, people call you important. If you are exhausted, they call you committed. If you are running all the time, they assume you are building something worth having. But motion is not the same as meaning. Sometimes people move so much because stillness would make them hear what they have been avoiding. Sometimes the calendar is full because silence feels too honest. Sometimes the constant activity is not purpose. It is fear wearing a productive mask. In Buddhist practice, stillness is not wasted time. Stillness is where you finally see what is happening inside you. Think of a glass of water that has been shaken all day. You cannot see through it until it settles. Your mind works the same way. If you keep disturbing it, you will mistake movement for truth. So do not only ask, "Am I doing enough?" Ask, "Have I been still enough to know why I am doing any of this?" Try this today. Take 1 hour and protect it. No scrolling, no noise, no multitasking. Just one quiet stretch where you are not trying to perform your life. It may feel strange at first, then uncomfortable. Then if you stay with it, it may start to feel like coming home. Sit with silence long enough to hear what hurts. A lot of people think they are afraid of silence because it is empty. Usually that is not the real reason. They are afraid of silence because silence is full. When the music stops, when the screen goes dark, when the room gets quiet, the things you have been postponing often rise to the surface. Grief, loneliness, regret, fear, the memory of something that never really healed. And because that feels uncomfortable, people rush to fill the space. They reach for distraction like it is medicine. But distraction is not medicine. It is more like a temporary lid. Silence is honest. It does not flatter you. It does not entertain you. It simply reflects you back to yourself. And that can be sacred. In Buddhist practice, awareness begins when you stop running from your own mind, not by pretending everything is fine, not by forcing a smile over pain, but by sitting still enough to notice what is asking for care. Maybe the sadness is asking to be felt. Maybe the anger is asking for boundaries. Maybe the emptiness is asking you to stop living like a guest in your own life. So do not fill every quiet moment immediately. Sit with it. Even 5 minutes is enough to begin. Put the phone away. Turn the sound down. Let the silence be awkward if it needs to be. Just listen to what comes up. Not to judge it, not to fix it right away. Just to meet it. Because sometimes the thing you have been avoiding hearing is the thing that can finally heal you. Let pain be a messenger, not a prison. People often think healing means pain should disappear, but more often healing means learning how to listen to pain without letting it run your whole life. Pain is not always a destroyer. Sometimes it is a messenger. It shows up to point at something real. A boundary that was crossed, a need that was ignored, a trust that was broken, a dream that was built on the wrong foundation. The problem starts when pain is treated only as the enemy. Then you fight it, bury it, numb it, or turn it into bitterness. And the more you fight it, the more power it seems to have. Buddhism offers a gentler response. Do not panic when suffering appears. Observe what it is trying to reveal. If a relationship hurts, ask what part of you was hoping to be rescued by it. If failure hurts, ask what part of you still needs patience. If rejection hurts, ask where you have been asking other people to carry your worth. That does not mean pain is good. It means pain can be useful if you stop calling every wound a curse. Think of a tree bending in a strong wind. The wind does not become kind just because the tree resists, but the tree survives by flexing instead of snapping. Your pain can work that way too. It does not have to make you hard. It can make you more aware, more rooted, and more careful with what really matters. So when pain shows up, do not only ask, how do I make this disappear? Ask, what is this teaching me about the way I have been living? That question can turn suffering into wisdom. Clear the clutter that is stealing your peace. Not all clutter lives in a room. Some clutter lives in your schedule. Some lives in your phone. Some lives in your obligations. Some lives in your friendships. Some lives in your head. You can have a clean desk and still live in chaos. You can have a tidy home and still carry too much in your mind. You can have a full calendar and still feel strangely empty. Because clutter is not just about objects, it is about accumulation that never got checked. Old promises, unfinished conversations, guilt, dead habits, relationships that no longer fit, roles you never wanted but kept accepting, thoughts that keep circling because they have nowhere else to go. Buddhist simplicity is not about living like a monk in a cave. It is about removing what steals your attention from what is alive. A cluttered mind cannot see clearly. A cluttered life cannot move freely. A cluttered heart cannot rest. So ask yourself a blunt question. What in my life is here by choice? And what is here only because I never had the courage to release it? Maybe there is one app that leaves you agitated. Maybe there is one relationship that leaves you smaller after every conversation. Maybe there is one commitment you are carrying out of guilt rather than truth. Maybe there is one habit that is quietly draining your energy. You do not need to clear everything at once. Start with one thing. Delete one source of noise. Decline one unnecessary request. End one draining habit. Let one old expectation fall away. Space is not empty. Space is where peace has room to arrive. Observe before you react. One of the fastest ways to lose your freedom is to react before you understand. Someone sends a sharp message. Someone ignores you. Someone speaks to you in a tone that touches an old wound, and suddenly your body tightens. Your mind races. Your whole mood changes in seconds. Reaction is fast, but it is expensive. A reaction can cost you your dignity, your clarity, your tone, your afternoon, even your sleep. Buddhist practice trains something much more useful: the ability to notice without immediately becoming what you noticed. Anger can rise without you becoming anger. Fear can appear without you becoming fear. Shame can visit without you building a home inside it. That small gap between stimulus and response is where your freedom lives. So the next time something stirs you, do not rush to speak. Do not rush to defend. Do not rush to assume the worst. Pause, take one breath, notice what is happening in your body. Ask, what am I feeling right now? Then ask, what would this moment look like if I did not hand all my power to the first emotion that arrived? That pause is not weakness. It is mastery. You do not need to suppress your feelings to be wise. You only need to see them clearly before they drive the car. And when you practice that enough, life starts to feel less like a battlefield and more like a place you can actually live in. Stop building your identity from old wounds. A lot of people are still living inside sentences someone else wrote about them. Too sensitive, too weak, too much, not enough. Always the problem, always left behind, always the one who ruins things. At some point, a painful message gets repeated enough times that it stops sounding like an opinion and starts sounding like identity. And then the wound gets promoted to a biography. But a wound is not a self. A bad season is not a permanent name. A painful chapter is not a final description of who you are. Buddhist teaching on selfhood helps here because it loosens the grip of identity. You are not fixed. You are not sealed. You are a changing process, a living stream, a mix of conditions, habits, memories, and choices that can still be transformed. That is good news if you have been carrying an old label for too long. You do not have to keep performing the version of you that pain created. You do not have to keep saying, I am the one who gets abandoned, as if that sentence is final. You do not have to keep saying, I am the one who fails, as if every attempt must end the same way. You do not have to keep saying, I am the one who never gets chosen, as if the past has legal power over your future. It does not. Trust try replacing those sentences with something truer. I am learning. I am healing. I am not who I was and this happened. I am allowed to become someone new. These are not fake affirmations. They are invitations. They open the door that old pain tried to lock. Learn to be alone without collapsing. There is a difference between solitude and isolation. Isolation feels like exile. Solitude can feel like sanctuary. A lot of people fear being alone because silence removes the social noise that helps them feel temporarily held together. When the room gets quiet, they worry they will find emptiness. But often, what they find is just themselves without distraction. And that is not a threat. That is a chance. If you never learn how to sit with your own company, you will keep asking other people to do a job they were never meant to do. You will use relationships to avoid yourself. You will use noise to avoid reflection. You will use constant connection to avoid the question, who am I when nobody is watching? Buddhist solitude is not loneliness. It is presence without performance. It is learning how to stand in your own life without begging the crowd to confirm you exist. That kind of aloneness can be scary at first, but it can also become one of the most reliable forms of peace, because when you can be alone without collapsing, you stop choosing people out of panic. You stop entering conversations out of hunger. You stop treating attention like oxygen. And once that happens, your relationships get cleaner. You choose from fullness, not need. You value real companionship more than constant distraction. Try this today. Take a walk alone without headphones. Sit in a cafe with no agenda. Eat one meal in silence. Notice what feelings show up. You may realize that you are not as empty as you thought. You may realize that your own presence is more enough than you gave it credit for. Give one thing your full presence. The mind loves to split itself, a conversation in one ear, a notification in the other, a memory in the back, a plan for later, a worry about tomorrow, a replay of yesterday. And somewhere in the middle of all that, the actual moment goes by unnoticed. This is how people lose their lives without ever technically leaving them. They are there, but not there. They are present, but divided. They are eating, but not tasting. They are listening, but not hearing. They are living, but half elsewhere. Mindfulness is the opposite of that fragmentation. It is the practice of becoming fully here. Not perfectly, not forever, just enough to honor what is in front of you. When you give a task your full attention, it changes. When you give a person your full attention, it changes. When you give your own breath your full attention, it changes. Presence creates depth. Divided attention creates shallowness. So choose one thing and give it your whole attention for that moment. One meal without a screen, one conversation without checking away, one task without trying to half-do 3 others, one breath noticed all the way in and all the way out. You do not need to make this dramatic. The power is in the simplicity. The modern world teaches people to be available to everything. Buddhist practice teaches you to be present to something. That choice matters more than it looks. Because a peaceful life is not built out of fragments. It is built out of moments lived completely enough to matter. Stop explaining your healing to people committed to misunderstanding you. At some point, healing asks for a strange kind of courage. It asks you to stop performing your inner life for people who benefit from you staying the same. Not everyone who questions your boundaries is confused. Some people understand them very well. They just preferred you more available, more flexible, more easy to access, more willing to abandon yourself for their comfort. The moment you change, those people may call you selfish, or cold, or distant, or difficult. And maybe you are different. That is the point. Healing changes your pace. It changes your tolerance. It changes your voice. It changes what you allow into your life. It changes how quickly you apologize. It changes how much you explain. But if you keep defending every boundary to the wrong audience, you will drain the very energy you need to keep growing. There is no wisdom in over-explaining your peace to people who are determined to misunderstand it. Buddhist detachment includes detachment from the need to be universally understood. That does not mean becoming rude. It means becoming free from the addiction to approval. You do not need to convince everyone that you changed for good reasons. You do not need to narrate every scar just to justify a boundary. You do not need to litigate your own healing. Sometimes the cleanest explanation is a calmer life. Sometimes distance is the statement. Sometimes silence is the proof. Sometimes consistency is enough. If someone truly cares, they may not understand every detail, but they will respect your growth. If they do not, then maybe their confusion is not the problem. Maybe their access was. Notice the thoughts that keep rebuilding suffering. Your mind is always speaking, sometimes gently, sometimes brutally, sometimes with the voice of fear dressed up as logic, sometimes with the voice of old shame dressed up as truth. I will fail. I am behind. It is too late. People always leave. Nothing ever works for me. I should have known better. I do not deserve calm. These thoughts feel convincing because they are familiar. But familiar is not the same as true. A thought repeated enough times becomes a mood. A mood repeated enough times becomes a worldview. A worldview repeated enough times becomes a life. That is why Buddhist practice takes thought seriously, not because every thought is sacred, but because every thought is powerful. If you want your life to change, you can not only rearrange the outside, you have to notice what is being built inside. So start watching the mind like you would watch weather moving across the sky. You do not have to argue with every cloud. You only have to see it clearly. When the same old sentence appears, ask, is this actually true? What evidence do I have? Or is this just a wound speaking in a familiar voice? That pause can change everything, because once you notice the pattern, you are no longer trapped inside it. You can choose a different sentence, not a fake one, a truer one. I have struggled, and I have also survived. I have been hurt, and I am still here. I am not too late. I am in process. I do not have to obey every thought that knocks. That is how suffering starts to lose its authority. Return to the breath. When the mind is loud, the breath is simple. When the thoughts are spinning, the breath is steady. When the body is tense, the breath is available. When life feels too much, the breath is still here. It is easy to overlook because it is ordinary. But that ordinary thing is often the doorway back to yourself. You do not need a perfect room. You do not need a special posture. You do not need a spiritual mood. You only need one honest breath. Breathe in slowly. Feel that you are here. Breathe out slowly. Feel that you are not required to solve everything in this second. That is not a small thing. That is a return. The breath reminds you that your body is not the enemy. Your nervous system is not trying to ruin your life. It is trying to protect you. And when you breathe with attention, you give it a signal of safety. Then, little by little, the storm softens. A Buddhist anchor does not remove the waves. It helps you stop becoming the wave. So when you feel yourself drifting into panic, return to the breath. When you feel anger rising too fast, return to the breath. When you feel old fear creeping in, return to the breath. Let it remind you that you do not have to live inside every thought that appears. You can come back again and again. That return is the practice. Practice compassion without self-betrayal. Some people think compassion means saying yes to everything. It does not. Compassion without wisdom can become self-abandonment. You say yes because you fear disappointing people. You give because you fear being unloved. You tolerate because you fear conflict. And slowly, your kindness stops feeling like love and starts feeling like erasure. Buddhist compassion is not weak. It is clear. It knows that kindness is not the same as surrendering your boundaries. It knows that helping someone is not the same as letting them drain you dry. It knows that a soft heart still needs a strong spine. That distinction matters. You can care about people and still refuse what harms you. You can forgive and still choose distance. You can love and still say no. You can be generous without becoming available for every demand. That is not coldness, that is balance. If your compassion always leaves you empty, then it is not yet complete. It has not learned wisdom. It has not learned self-respect. It has not learned that you are also included in the circle of beings that deserve care. So today, practice one compassionate boundary. Do not answer the message right away. Do not agree to the request that your body already said no to. Do not explain yourself past the point of peace. Do not give away your rest as if it is free. True compassion does not require self-erasure. It requires honesty. And honesty is kinder than resentment. Make peace with impermanence. One of the hardest truths in life is also one of the most freeing. Everything changes. Bodies change. Seasons change. Relationships change. Jobs change. Moods change. Roles change. What felt permanent becomes memory. What felt secure becomes uncertain. What felt unbearable eventually softens. People often fight impermanence because they think resistance will keep things safe. But resistance only adds suffering to the change that was already happening. Buddhist wisdom does not tell you to love change, because change is always pleasant. It tells you to understand change, so you do not spend your life arguing with reality. And reality is always moving. The heartbreak will not stay sharp forever. The grief will not stay identical forever. The confusion will not stay frozen forever. The season you fear may pass sooner than you think. Impermanence is not only loss, it is also relief. Because if pain changes, then your pain is not eternal. If fear changes, then fear is not your final home. If your current chapter changes, then you are not trapped in it forever. This does not make hard seasons easy. It makes them survivable. So when change arrives, do not only ask, what is being taken away? Ask what is being made possible. What if this ending is clearing the path? What if this disappointment is removing something false? What if this uncertainty is teaching me how to stand without guarantees? Impermanence can humble you. It can also free you. Rebuild through small vows. People love the idea of a dramatic transformation. A new self, a new routine, a new identity, a huge turning point where everything changes at once. But real rebuilding is usually quieter than that. It happens in the small vows you keep when nobody is clapping. It happens in the ordinary promises you make to yourself and then honor again tomorrow. It happens in the repetition that slowly shapes the soul. I will breathe before I react. I will keep my room clear. I will stop feeding the thought that breaks me. I will walk for 10 minutes. I will protect my sleep. I will speak kindly to myself. I will choose one thing and finish it. These are small commitments, but they are not small in effect. A life is not rebuilt only by inspiration. It is rebuilt by trust, and trust grows when you prove again and again that you can keep a promise to your own heart. A Buddhist path is rarely dramatic in the way people imagine. It is steady, it is patient, it is cumulative. It is made of tiny acts that seem ordinary until one day you realize you are no longer the same person who began. So do not wait for a perfect mood. Do not wait for a huge breakthrough. Start with one vow. Keep it today. Then keep it tomorrow. Then keep it again. That is how a new life takes shape. And as we come to the end of this quiet reflection, may you carry its gentle reminder with you into the stillness of the night. Not every burden needs to be held forever, and not every pain needs to be solved before you can rest. Sometimes healing begins in the simple act of softening, of breathing more deeply, and of allowing yourself to let go of what no longer needs to stay. If your heart feels heavy tonight, let this be a moment to release it with kindness. You do not need to have all the answers now. You do not need to be perfect in order to be at peace. There is wisdom in slowing down. There is strength in surrender. And there is comfort in trusting that even the heaviest heart can grow lighter with time. So as you close your eyes, may your thoughts become softer, your breath become steadier, and your heart find the peace it has been quietly seeking. Sleep gently, rest deeply, and wake tomorrow with a calmer spirit and a lighter soul.